the system divides man into 7 categories. The first 3 categories are practically on the same level. Man number 1, a man in whom the moving or instinctive centers predominate over the intellectual and emotional, that is, physical man. Man number 2, a man in whom the emotional center predominates over the intellectual, moving, and instinctive, emotional man. Man number 3, a man in whom the intellectual center predominates over the emotional, moving, and instinctive, intellectual man. In ordinary life, we meet only these 3 categories of man. Each one of us and everyone we know is either number 1, number 2, or number 3. There are higher categories of man, but men are not born already belonging to these higher categories. They are all born number 1, number 2, number 3, and can reach higher categories only through schools. Man number 4 is not born as such. He is a product of school culture. He differs from man number 1, number 2, and number 3 by his knowledge of himself, by his understanding of his position, and, as it is expressed technically, by his having acquired a permanent center of gravity. This last means that the idea of acquiring unity, consciousness, permanent I, and will, that is, the idea of his development, has already become for him more important than his other interests. It must be added to the characteristics of man number 4 that his functions and centers are more balanced, in a way in which they could not be balanced without work on himself, according to school principles and methods. Man number 5 is a man who has acquired unity and self-consciousness. He is different from ordinary man because in him one of the higher centers already works, and he has many functions and powers that an ordinary man, that is, man number 1, 2, and 3, does not possess. Man number 6 is a man who has acquired objective consciousness. Another higher center works in him. He possesses many more new faculties and powers beyond the understanding of an ordinary man. Man number 7 is a man who has attained all that a man can attain. He has a permanent I and free will. He can control all the states of consciousness in himself, and he already cannot lose anything he has acquired. According to another description, he is immortal within the limits of the solar system.